Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing about the class relationship solutions for the Python assessment held on May 14th. The first question is about ticket booking. Prashant, who is an event organizer and owns a number of halls, was happy that his friend had helped in maintaining the records of bookings and the events. But he was finding difficult to search the halls booked for the same events again. He had to manually search in the list. So he is asking his friend to help him in searching the halls booked for same event based on the event name. His friend agrees and writes the code for him. Let's help Prashant's friend in building a code as required by Prashant. So you have to write a program to get an event and user and use the same booking class as bridge class. By this, the users of our applications can get a list of bookings made for a particular event by all users. So we have to create a user class with the following attributes: name and contact, both are string. Next, we have to create an event class with the attributes name, detail, type and owner. And we have to create one more class called ticket booking with the attributes event, booking time, customer, price. And price is an integer type. Next, we have to create a list of events, list of users, and list of ticket bookings with user object and event object. Next, we have to get an event name and display all the booking details for that particular event. And we have to assume that the customer name and event name are always unique. The input format. So the first line of input contains number of events followed by the list of event details, and the second line contains number of users followed by the user details, and the third line contains number of bookings followed by the booking details, and the last line consists of the event name to be searched, and output consists of the event name and list of bookings for that particular event. So for formatting, we have to check on the sample output. So we'll come to the sample input and output later. Now let us just dive into the solution. Right. So the first thing is we have to create three classes. The first class is user class. So class user, and the attributes are name and contact. So def init name and contact. Next, we have to initialize them. So self.name is equal to name contact. That's it. Next, we have to create the event class with the four attributes. So class event name, detail, type and owner. That's it. So we have created the event class. Next, we have to create the class ticket booking. So class and we have to insert the constructor. It has four attributes. One is the event, then the booking time, then customer and price. Price is an integer. Self dot event, then self dot booking time, and the customer self dot price is equal to price. So we have created all the three classes. Next is we have to create a list of events, list of users, and list of bookings. So let it be event list. It's an empty list. Users list. Let it also be an empty list. Then ticket booking list. That will also be an empty list. Now let us go for the input. So the first line of input corresponds to the number of events n1. So n1 be the number of events, so it is an integer, so int of input of. Then the next n1 line contains event details. So n for I in range of n1, it will have the event details. So what are the details of the event? Let us check the sample input. So these are the details of the event. It is just event name alone. But when you take a look at the event class, it has 4 attributes: name, detail, type, and owner. Yet in the input it is given only the event name alone. So based on our class, now we can create an object for event only if we have all the details: name, detail, type, and owner. But in the input only event name is given. There is no event detail, type, and owner available. So we have to modify our class a little so that the name alone will be the mandatory parameter and detail, type, and owner can be optional ones. So how can we make it? We have to make them as default arguments. So how can default arguments be declared? So look at this. So name is mandatory because name alone is being given in the input, and detail, it is not mandatory, so let it be none. The default value be none. Similarly for type, the default value is none, and for the owner the default value is none. Now we can create the event object with name alone, and detail, type, and owner are optional because they have default values specified. So this is the small change that we need to make based on the given input. Otherwise you will get an error in creating an object missing required arguments. Now we can store the event details. So event details, they are just passing the name alone. So event is equal to, since it is a string event name, I'm just using input of. Then we have to create the event object. So event of input of. Right. Now we have to add this event to our event list. So event list dot append event. So this will add all the event details. The next is next line of input corresponds to the number of users n2. So n2 is equal to int of input of, n2 for I in range of n2. Now we will be getting the user details. So user is equal to user object. So user object, it needs 2 parameters, name and contact number. So when we take a look at our input, sample input, these are the user details, and the user details are separated by a space. So the name and contact number are separated by a space. Now how can we read it? So to read the user details, we have to use the split function that is available. So split function, we have to pass a delimiter and it will return a list. So I will store it in list. So my list is equal to the input dot split, and inside the split function you have to pass the argument. So here the delimiter is a space. So now user object we can create. So my list of 0 will have the name, and my list of 1 will have the contact number, and both are of string type based on the design specifications given. Yes, name and contact are of string type. So this will create a user object, and finally you have to add this in the user list. So user list dot append of user object. So this will add all the users. And lastly, n3 contains the number of ticket bookings. So n3 is equal to int of input of, so these are the number of bookings. So for I in range of n3, now let us check the sample input. So see, these are the list of events. So we have 10 events in the sample input. So the event details are given like the event name, the owner, the date and time, and followed by the cost, and they are all separated by a space. So again, similar to what we have done in user details, the same thing we have to do it for event, because every line of input contains 4 different values separated by a space. So how can we read them? Again we have to use the same method. So my list is equal to input of dot split of, and here also the delimiter is a space. Now we can create the event, the booking, sorry. So booking is equal to ticket booking of my list of 0. My list of 0 will contain the event name, so that is the event name. Then booking time and customer name, but here the customer name is given first and the booking time is given the second. So here we have the booking time first and then the customer name. So my list of 2 will contain the booking time, then my list of 1 will contain the customer. So the order just changes. Now you have to make sure that you save the booking time in booking time attribute and customer in customer attribute. Since in the output it is given as the event followed by the customer, then the booking time, then the cost, we have to correctly specify it in the ticket booking class. So that is why I am giving my list of 2, because my list of 2 only, the index position 2 only contains the customer name, and my list of 1, the index position contains the booking time and followed by the cost. So my list of 3, and again it is an integer, so int of my list of 3. Now we have created our booking class. Then we have to add this to the booking list. So booking list dot append of booking. So we have created successfully, we have created the list of events, list of users, and list of ticket bookings. And the last line of the input is the search term, then event name to be searched. So here the event name alone will be given, which is a string. So let me name it as search event, and that will be a string. Now we have to match this event in our booking and display all the bookings for that particular event. So look at the sample input, the last line is event 2. So if it is event 2, then the output will contain all the bookings for event 2 in this format. So we have to first fetch the details of all the event 2 bookings and then print it. So for that we have to use make use of the list that is being given. So we have the ticket booking list. So for booking in ticket booking list, if booking dot event matches with that of the search event, then we have to fetch the user of that particular event. So the customer, we have to fetch the event name, the customer name, booking time, the cost, and the phone number. So we have, except phone number, we have all the details in the ticket booking class itself. How to fetch the phone number? So for fetching the phone number, we have to match the customer name with that of the user name for that particular event. For example, here the first event is Jonathan, so we have to match this Jonathan with the existing user Jonathan. So how can we do that? We have to use the user list. So for user in user list, if user dot name matches with booking dot customer, so if the booking customer and the username is the same, then we have to fetch the contact of that particular user. So contact is equal to user dot contact. Now the only thing left is printing the output. So print I'm going to use the same way. So how many details? 1 2 3 4 5 separated by a space. So curly brace dot format. The first thing is the event name. So booking dot event, comma, next is the customer name. So booking dot customer, comma, next is the booking time, comma, next is the cost per day. So booking dot price, comma, then the contact. That's it. So we have completed the solution for this. Now let us verify whether we are getting the correct output. So I'm going to copy the sample input first. So I'm going to run this program, run as python run. Right, so I'm getting the exact output. So for event 2 is the search term, and even all the bookings of event 2 will get listed along with the contact number. So I believe we have understood the solution for this particular problem. Now let us take a look at the solution for the second question. The second question is very easy one. Sanvi is the data analyst. She is currently associated with a task where she has to display the item details in an ordered manner. All the details are in CSV format, which she has to convert it into the format given below in the sample output. Help Sanvi by writing the code that takes the item details in CSV format and displays them accordingly. So we have to create a class called item type with the following attributes: name, deposit, and cost per day. Then we have to include a method called display and should print the item details as specified in the output format. And the input will be in CSV format. It will be a comma separated value, and we have to refer the sample input and output. So this is the sample input. Everything is a comma separated value. Then we have to print the output in this format. Now let us check the solution for this problem. So we have to create we have to create a class called item type, and this class has name, deposit and cost per day. So def init name, deposit and cost per day, and self dot name is equal to name, self dot deposit is equal to deposit, self dot cost per day is equal to cost per day. Then we have to create a display method, and it should display in the following format. So def display, so it should display it in the following format. So print, so what is the format? It is name space colon space, so every space is very important, so that should match your sample output. The new line, then you have deposit space colon space followed by a new line, then cost per day, so cost space per space day, without any space you have to give the colon because it was specified in the sample output. Then dot format of, you have to pass the tuple of values, so it is self dot name, self dot deposit and self dot cost per day. That's it, we have created our class. Now we have to read the input which is in the CSV format. So if it is in CSV format, again we have to use the same split function. So input of dot split of, inside split the delimiter here, instead of space we have to give a comma, so it will have the list. Now we have to create the item class. So item is equal to item type of my list of 0 comma my list of 1 comma, and let us check, deposit and cost per day are integers, so we have to use int of comma int of my list of 2. Now we have to display the item, that's it. So item dot display. So this is a pretty straightforward question. Now let us check the output. I'm going to run this. I'm going to open the console. There, you got the output. So I believe you have understood this question. Thank you for joining the discussion.